Hello, David Zritsky for the Bond Experience. Welcome back. All right, get your minds woken up. And what I mean by that is you need some coffee because I'm with a very highly intelligent individual, Bud West from the Bond Brain. Bud, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. This is awesome. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. And we're having breakfast beer, by the way.
Right. I don't know how smart that is.
Well, I don't. It's not smart. So what a kickoff to the discussion. All right. So, Bud, many people I think in the Bond community know you, but outside of the Bond community, I wanted to introduce you because let me tell you what I love about what you brought to the Bond community. Bud has the Bond Brain, and I've said this early on, but the Bond Brain is really a way for us to go past the very surface level, I'll even say kind of nebulous fun that we have and delve a little bit deeper into things on how we get more capable, how we get better, how we improve ourselves. It really does create a synapse fire. But you've got to take me back. There was a moment where Bud West must have said, I want to create something. Here's the Bond Brain. What was that story?
I did. I mean, and obviously I've been following this since the way back in the 90s and that kind of stuff. And, for me, I just didn't want to repeat what everybody else was doing. I mean, there's going to be overlap. Everybody's going to have a little overlap. I get that. But so, it did kind of take me a little while to formulate what's going to be my angle. I want to do something that's a little different. It's unique. This looks like a great bunch of people to be involved with. Whether I meet any of these people in person like now or not, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do something. I also have a huge love of strategy games.
Ooh, okay.
So everything from like the ones with the 600-page rule books to just sit down, and it's a huge...
That's just the way you're wired then, right? I mean,
it is, and my wife and I, my Bond girl and I, we have used that to challenge our kids' minds because of psychological studies that I have read about how that helps them, and there are countries that mandate this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my angle, and as I've read and reread and you watch all the Bond films and everything, you see Bond plays games. I mean, the character he's a card player. There's games worked into, all of the books.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, kind of here's my angle. It's two passions, and come together, and that's kind of how I ended up with.
And it collided.
Plus, Joe Darlington, being James Bond, he posted the how to do a podcast. So I said, well, if this is horrible, right, it's Joe's fault. No, it's not.
It's all part of games playing is to have a scapegoat.
Right,
you need to have a scapegoat. It's
not
my fault.
A escape plan, right.
Well,
yes.
First of all, I love that because, all right, yes, even Mr. White says, our game is our game.
Absolutely.
Spycraft, subterfuge, all those types of things. It is a game of moving chess pieces around. But I want to give you deference because one of the things that I love that you constantly do is you could absolutely do a surface level like, well, here's a review of Tomorrow Never Dies, and nothing wrong with that. But what you do is then you take something that really challenges us and you add that level of strategy. So how do the topics come to you?
Well, I'm running out of them, but
that's why he's here today.
Which is why I went to YouTube as well. I thought maybe with some visuals I could go into more depth than I could in the podcast.
Yes.
And I don't want to teach people how necessarily to play the games, maybe the rules, but I don't want to go into the strategies because that's all part of the learning, and that's what's going to challenge your brain.
Yeah.
And, I think, it's part of the love for games, part of the love for Bond. And the part of it is also reading the book, How to Live the James Bond Lifestyle.
Yes.
Paul Curiazzi.
Yes.
I mean, when it really boils down to it, you can take Bond out of that book, and it's a self-help book.
Yes, exactly.
So, how do you use your hobby or hobbies to make things better, improve your life? I have a job where I use my head. So if I don't stay sharp, I don't have a job. So.
Right. So this is not wholly different then. It's almost like taking what you already were focused on and just saying, you know what, I'm going to wrap it with James Bond.
Yeah, because it's there. And you can, there's so many films and so many books. You can do that with so many things. I mean,
True.
You yourself, you've done workout videos. Bond is a very capable, in shape guy, he's a gentleman. You could take that angle. And there's just so many facets of it because of the volume of work that exists.
What's been the reaction? What are some of the things you're hearing from people about your output?
I haven't had any negative reactions. I've had people send me messages that say, "Hey, I took up chess, or I started playing gin, or my wife and I are playing backgammon now. It's a great way to spend an afternoon." And that's been absolutely the best part. The increase in followers. It's been a little shocking. I didn't. Part of that has to do with you.
No.
Because the minute you shared, the one day I had listenership kind of go through the roof, and I thought, how the heck did that happen? And then I went over to Instagram, and you had pushed something out. I'm like, that's how that happened. So
it's well deserved.
I certainly appreciate all the help.
People are not going to like and listen and be consistent unless there's something that really connects with them. And you've done that. And you also bring something different. I mean, it isn't, the one thing that I see, and people are not going to like this, but on Instagram, when people post the same picture, I'm like, it's the same picture. Really, what you bring from a content standpoint is unique. And I think that's why you keep people.
I don't want to, and like I said, there's going to be overlap, and we all kind of expect that a little bit. But I don't think anyone needs another movie review out of me.
No.
or
we got Joe and I to do all
music
that.
Review. There's
Calvin
so many
Dyson.
people, and you guys do it so well. But so it's that. I want to take a unique approach.
Right.
I want to do something different. I want to make a contribution, have fun doing it. I mean, it's been a blast. It's just, it's a hobby for all of us. We're not making money at this.
No,
it's a hobby.
Quite the opposite.
Yes, exactly the opposite.
Money out the door. How many episodes do you have?
Well, I do short ones, and I know you and I have joked about this. My episodes are more like public service announcements, but I have upwards in about 14 or 15 months.
Wow.
Over 40.
Whoa.
That's
quite a bit.
Over 40 out there. Some are collaborations, some are longer.
Right.
I've recently launched a YouTube channel. I also launched on Facebook the Bond Community Cigar Lounge. So we've been having cigar events. You don't have to be a cigar smoker. You can still log in and have fun.
You collaborate with quite a few people on that too. You have guests come on. And...
I try to. Emery, the Intrepid 007 podcast, has been very supportive and patient for a man who works in IT and should not be making IT mistakes. So that should not be happening. Those I may
have been witness to that.
Yes. Those I personally find embarrassing. Right. If I was a car mechanic and my car blew up, I would be a little.
So we're going to pause for a second because Bud was so good to invite a host of people on one of them. It wasn't the first one. It was a couple of them into it, and I was so grateful that you allowed me to do a discussion on my Aston Martin. And all I remember is I was signing on, and poor Bud is looking at the camera.
Yes.
His eyes are like this, and he's like just destroying it, and he's like, oh.
My level of
but that's how we get better.
You're right. That's it. The mistakes are made, and that is how you improve. And that's it. That's a lot of the reason I don't want to teach, as I throw these games out there and stuff. I don't want to talk about strategy because you're not learning if you're not making your own mistakes and learning from those mistakes.
I think that's a huge learning in and of itself. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. It's part of the strategic fabric.
Right. And it's tough if when you've got children and you want to fix what the kid did, but you've got to kind of sit back and let them do it and let them make their mistakes. And I will throw a caveat in here. I play a lot of these games. My wife and I will sit down and play all kinds of stuff. When the kids come home, we do it. And I lose more than I win. She beats me constantly. So I'm going to throw that out there right now. She constantly wins. We have a small group of friends and she beats all of them too. So I don't feel too bad about it.
That sounds like a good marriage. That's a safe marriage.
Fortunately, right, I don't really have an ego about it, so.
You can't.
No.
You can't. You just have to embrace it. All right. Question for you. You've done these episodes. You're really, I think, creating a groundswell of a following around you. What's the future? What do you want to do? What are you looking forward to?
Well, recently I started going back through it. I've made no bones about the fact that I constantly reread the Flemings, but I don't do that so much with the continuation novels. So I started to dig into them and pull whatever I can pull out of there 4 games. I've launched I say too much. I've launched the YouTube channel so I can add some visuals and maybe expand upon some of the topics with previous topics. I don't want to duplicate from the podcast to the YouTube channel. I want to make sure that each one is unique. So I have that in mind. There are more Bond Cigar Lounge events coming up. We're going to do another one in October. So that one's going to have a travel-oriented theme. So I've got some people tentatively on the hook for that. I don't want to announce it just in case they can't do it. Right, just in case something comes up. One of them's in the military, too, so I never know if this guy's going to be available or not.
By the way, I have to tell you about your YouTube video. One of the things that I loved was we all have a fantasy. You've made your fantasy come true. I've tried as well. To create a Bond lair, cave, whatever you want to call it. I love the process, and I've watched it, I think, twice, actually, of you walking around, and you've transformed a part of your house into this very relaxing Bond environment.
Right. Yes. My children have moved out. They surrendered our finished basement. Yep.
It's an accomplishment, folks. Give them kudos.
They could be back, but they're not getting the basement back. Right. I'm not sure what they were doing down there.
They're not robbing banks anymore.
Right. I think they were throwing bowling balls at the walls. But after we repaired all of that, we turned that into Bond space / workspace. I actually didn't show the whole thing. There's another whole section of that where I work. So nobody wants to see that. But however, and has a different theme entirely. It has a history theme. So
it looks so relaxing with the big chair and stuff like that, and the table.
I wanted a conversation area, right? Yes. My wife was making a joke. You have drinks over here, and you have drinks over here, and you have drinks over here.
We have issues,
right? Yes.
Pandemic.
Right now, I just make the joke that she keeps me in the basement.
We all live down here,
right?
Yeah.
So I surrendered my upstairs office to her and created my Bond space in the basement. And when you do these things, even now. Yeah. We're surrounded by Bond.
Yeah.
It's, it kind of gets you in the mood. It gets the juices flowing and gets you excited to do this kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. And thank you for inviting me to your home. This place is phenomenal.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, no, we're going to have fun here. And listen, Bud, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bud West, ladies and gentlemen, from the Bond Brain, right here. Hope you got to know him a little bit better. We're going to put all the links below. And this has been David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. And we'll see you all real soon. Take care. Cheers. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.